call this meeting to order 3 minutes past 7 o'clock. Please rise and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Actually, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include the correct policy titles under the policy subcommittee update. We'll be presenting for first read policy JH, JIC, and JII. Second.
Any discussion? Great. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. May I have a motion for the approval of the open session minutes of August 26, 2014?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the open session minutes from August 26, 2014.
All right, any discussion? Amendment to the correction of those. Hearing none, all those in favor, say no.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. May I have a motion for approval of the executive session minutes of August 26, 2014?
Motion to approve the executive session minutes of August 26, 2014.
Any discussion, any corrections? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and they are approved. Okay, next, community comment. Any community comments? Anyone from the public wishing to address the committee? Okay, hearing none, we move on to superintendent's comments.
First off, what I'd like to do is go over the enrollment statistics, as I do every year around this time. Let me just mirror this once again. So you should also have this in your packet. But what we're looking at right now, and this is as of Friday, is a grand total of about 2,391 students in our district. And you see the breakdown, 458 at CLUF, 455 at Memorial, 812 at MISCO, which is incredibly stable. I mean, we've had literally almost identically the same exact number over the last 3 years. 630 at Nipmuc, and a grand total of 36 out of district. If you were to compare that to our official October 1st numbers of last year, kind of an interesting trend here. It's a loss of 67 students, but that total loss comes from 2 schools. Okay, it comes from Memorial and from Nipmuc. Very explainable, real simple differences. As you can see, CLUF is identical to the student, and MISCO has a gain of 1 student. I have a slide here. But really what it comes down to, and I'll show you in a couple minutes, the majority of that loss of 32 students at Memorial is in a kindergarten class. Okay, last year we had upwards of almost 100 students in last year's kindergarten class. This year I think it's only about 77. Okay, and it kind of makes sense in the sense of it stems from a lower birth rate. If you think about our little guys, they're 5 years old. So they were born anytime after September 1st, 2008, okay, to August 30th of 2009. You think about that, that's really, think about where the economy was that time and so on. CLUF, as you can see, makes up a lot of the difference because CLUF has markedly higher choice numbers than Memorial does as well. So the biggest loss is in your kindergarten class, and then Nipmuc, it comes down to about 184 kids graduated. It's the class of 2014. We've got 153 freshmen this year, so that's really the majority of your loss right there. I think it's always interesting to look at our choice-in numbers. This year, our choice-in is 55. I'm sorry, a total of 143, which right now is a gain of 4 of what we had last year. And looking at our average class sizes, a couple blips here and there, but for the most part, some very, very good, comfortable class sizes. As you can see, at the lower grades, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, we're in good shape. We've got one blip grade of 25 at CLUF, which is grade 2. We had an influx at CLUF last year, particularly at the beginning of the year, of literally in something like a 2 or 3 week span, 8 kids move in that were all in last year's first grade. So we've got a little bit of a blip there. But as you can see, for the most part, some very, very comfortable class size numbers. Looking at MISCO, still some high numbers at grade 7 and grade 8, but very comfortable at grades 5 and 6. And then looking at Nipmuc, as far as the average class sizes, also very, very comfortable. Really looking at something like performing arts, that takes into account the band classes, which are going to be very, very large. As you can see, across the board, for the most part, in the low 20s. Okay. So keep in mind, those are just where we are, the opening. There's usually a little bit of fluctuation. Our official enrollment numbers that we use for the purposes of budgeting are October 1st. Okay. Any questions on any of that?
What was the total of the BBT? Was it higher than last year?
I don't have those total numbers yet.
Okay.
I generally will get them in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Believe it or not, we get those from BBT. Because a lot of times, Chris, there's jockeying literally in the summertime of some students who might have gotten accepted, and then they change their mind, or they notify BBT late, and then sometimes BBT goes back to students who weren't accepted and then offer them admission and so on. So there is some jockeying that goes with that. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Second piece is just to give you all an update on where we are with regard to the one-to-one learning initiative. As I say in my background notes, we have successfully rolled out a grand total of 630 iPad devices at the high school. A lot of credit goes to Dale Casal, who's right here, our new technology integration specialist, who splits her time between the high school and the middle school. Dale, obviously, because we're rolling out that many devices, has gone heavier at the high school and in the first 2 days of school. But we've also moved Anthony Amatrano temporarily, kind of on loan, so to speak, to the high school to help out with a lot of the pragmatic issues. Had a lot of success getting devices in the hands of all of our students. I think our teachers have been fabulous as far as being open to trying new apps, trying new ways to do things, particularly in going paperless. We've had a lot of our teachers enroll in Google School, which is a learning management system. Very, very comprehensive way to kind of manage your assignments, manage assessments, kind of take care of general classroom management issues and so on. So we're very excited. Like I said, I think there's been some bumps in the road. Some of the things that we're learning with regard to, one of the things that was brought to my attention was the issue of Wi-Fi. Now keep in mind, the high school has the same robust Wi-Fi system that the middle school does. Okay, and you would think, 812 students versus 630. It should be easier. Well, those 630 students, the overwhelming majority of them have a smartphone in their pocket. And guess what? Those smartphones eat up bandwidth. Okay, so we're kind of coming up with some solutions to little glitchy problems like that, but all in all, I'm getting a lot of positive reports. Also, as a follow-up, as you know, at our last meeting on the 25th, we talked about the change in the school use only school loaner policy. So that following day, the 26th, I sent out an email to all the middle school and the high school parents. As of last Friday, we've had 234 parents respond, and it breaks down to 142 are keeping their current plan in place, and 92 are requesting to go to a loaner of some sort. So that kind of breaks down to like about a 65-35 split. As I said in my background notes, we have sent out reminder emails today. We'll do so again tomorrow. I know actually, I think that was the second reminder email from the middle school. So we will do our due diligence in notifying our parents, you know, about this change. Okay, so any questions on any of that?
I just would disagree with you, man. The 65-35 split is not even remotely close. I think that most people aren't. It said, you know, in the email it said if we don't hear from you, everything's status.
Oh, I meant 65-35 of the people who responded. Correct.
Okay, yeah, but what the email says is you don't have to respond to the email.
Correct.
So I think it's probably, you know, there's 92 so far that are requesting refunds. So it's nowhere near 35. It's probably 5 or 10%.
You're correct. Yeah,
well, I don't know, 35%, wait, that's a lot.
No, I should have given it as I meant of the people who've responded.
Okay, so people don't have to respond.
Correct.
And if you don't respond, you just stay with whatever you
Correct.
have.
And we put, and I think this, it represents at least 3.5 weeks that we're giving people from the 26th to September 19th. So I think we're doing our due diligence in notifying people. Okay. Third piece you do have in your packet, something that I brought up at the last multi-board meeting last Wednesday evening, and specifically it is a proposal that I received and the Field Turf Committee received from Gale Associates of Weymouth. And Gale Associates is a firm that has worked with a lot of school districts, also worked with a lot of colleges in developing and doing project management on athletic campus facilities. And based upon my request, I met with their chief architect, a gentleman by the name of Bill Seymour, who kind of did spent about an hour or two at Nipmuc to kind of survey the land. He also used Google Earth to kind of get the panoramic view of what we're looking at. And they've given us a proposal for a fairly detailed scope of services that essentially would do a feasibility study based upon the site. So kind of looking at, okay, what do we have? What could you conceivably build on it? What are the things that you have to look out for with regard to things like wetlands, ledge, and so on? And then, based upon that, kind of developing a master plan of how the communities, how the district would proceed in developing a turf field, a track, lights, and so on. They've done the architecture and the project management for Medway. They're also now doing it for Dudley Charlton, and so on. So, like I said, a lot of background experience. So the proposal for the total scope of services, they lay it out as a 60-day project, and the cost would not exceed a total of $10,750. So I bring this to the attention of the full committee. I brought this up at the multi-board. I think it's important, again, from the premise of saying that, yes, this is something that the regional school district needs, but this is also a real need within our communities. I've been invited to speak before both towns' Board of Selectmen about this project. I was just invited on Friday to speak before the Upton CPC, or Community Preservation Commission. And I think it makes a great deal of sense to have these conversations, to look at the viability of sharing the expense of this feasibility study between the two communities, the regional school district, and possibly even the youth leagues as well, because I think we're all stakeholders in this. So I bring this to the full committee's attention. If you have any feedback or any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I think it's important to get this shared ownership, but also in the process to gauge support for this as well.
Do you have a sense of whether the different parties are willing to kind of split the cost?
Honestly, no, at this time I do not. From the multi-board, Upton was interested in hearing about it. Mendon was definitely interested in hearing about it, but Mendon also expressed, Mike Goddard expressed that they had started some initial conversations about youth league fields somewhere in town. And Rich Schofield started the conversation about, well, okay, this is something that's very much needed. How much does it have to be at Nipmuc? And part of it, and I think you were there, part of our conversation was about the delta.
Would it be a non-starter?
Yeah, he started to use all that engineering techno-speak on me. Yeah, I mean, I think they're interested in starting the conversation.
Do we have any plans to present to you? Forgive me if I missed this, but to present to the youth groups, like the football and...
I plan on laying that out. Our next field trip committee meeting is next week. It's on the 17th, a week from Wednesday, to try to map that out.
Okay, maybe invite them to...
Absolutely. And the vision would be for these presentations to each town's board of selectmen to have some representatives from the field trip committee to be present. And just as an FYI, something that I think is interesting and something that I've wanted to do for some time, I put in your packet the actual report for usage of the firm that we've been using for live streaming for some time. We've been using a firm called Town Hall Streams. They're kind of a startup business in up in Maine. And we've been with them, I want to say since January of, about January of 2012. Okay, we've been paying them, first we were paying them $125 a month, and now it's $150 a month for them to stream our 2 meetings. We now are, and you can see from the usage report, for last month, a total of 13 different IPs logged into live meetings and watched a grand total of 8 hours and 37 minutes. And for the entire month, 15 different IP addresses logged in. So people are watching it. Are they watching it, in droves? No, they're not. So what we've decided to do is to cut our ties with town hall streams, and we're actually now going to start live streaming on YouTube. So within the last couple weeks, we've started a YouTube channel for the regional school districts, and our intent is let's utilize it, and the price is right. It's free. So we're saving $150 a month by doing this. So just as an FYI. And then last but not least, I just want to share with you, and maybe you've noticed this when you've driven by, but I'd like to give appropriate thanks and credit to the Upton Men's Club, who very quietly and without a lot of fanfare in the last month have put up these really wonderful stone wall planters, I guess I could call it, but they're around both the Nipmuc and the memorial signs. As you can see, some very lovely mums planted there. I think the Men's Club, they do a lot of wonderful beautification projects around town. They've been great partners with the regional school district. So just want to acknowledge that. I'll also acknowledge it in writing and thank them for doing this on behalf of the school district.
Next is your subcommittee update. The first thing that we have on our portion of the agenda is the facility fee schedule for the 2014-2015 school year. We reviewed these at the policy subcommittee meeting recently and have bringing forth the recommendation, and Joe, if you want to go into more detail, certainly you can, that we don't change the fee schedule from the status quo at this present time. Based on the usage, based on where those funds are coming from when the money is being put out for the cost of the facility, it comes with its own, I can do this right, with its own
revolving account. Yeah. So those fees that they should have been included in your packet, and they're also on our website. They're the same fees that have been in place since April 2010, and I think that's probably the last time that this committee really looked at this in depth. So those fees go into their own revolving account. I put the figures there as far as what the district took in and what the district paid out. Those fees pay for any type of overtime or basically what we pay custodians to basically mind the building whenever some type of function is going on. They also pay for any type of energy costs that are used by the building being open during those extra hours. Like I said, that revolving account is oftentimes, and it's not a very large revolving account, it can be used to pick up the expense of some unanticipated repair that needs to be done. So, in my opinion, I think the revolving account is right in that healthy balance. If we had a situation where we were taking in excessive amounts of money versus what we were paying out, I would say, well, we probably should lower them, or vice versa. If we were losing money, we needed to increase those fees. I think keeping them status quo makes a great deal of sense.
Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, so here I have a motion to approve the facility fee schedule for the 2014-2015 school year. Motion to approve the fee schedule for the 2014-2015 school year for facilities. Second. Aye. Yes. And I apologize for the confusion in your packet. I'm sure you were baffled because it is a little confusing. I'll try and clarify for you. So what you got in your packet was a very clean copy from Mass of their new policy, JH, student absences and excuses. The very messy one, which actually if you have a color like I do, is basically an overlay of what the Mendon-Upton policies were, and then I took the new Mass ones and put them on top. And so you can read through those. That happens on all of these policies. Student absences and excuses, which is JH. Student discipline, which was formerly student conduct in the Mendon-Upton policies, JIC, and now became, according to Mass, they renamed it student discipline. And it went from one little page that we used to have to a proposed 7 pages. And these changes are all to accommodate the changes in legislation about student discipline and how schools need to go about that. And then the last one, student complaints and grievances, JII. There are just a couple of changes to that, which I've indicated again in the red. So, oh no, there's JK too. And JK, the only change on that was a change in title from student discipline to student conduct, and it remains a very short policy. So these are just presented to you for first read. We will be coming back with the second read and vote at the September 22nd meeting. If you have any questions, you can certainly email me or Joe or Liz. But again, they're to reflect the changes in the laws that have recently.
Moving on, next we will go to the superintendent evaluation task force.
I'll try to make this as brief as possible, but it is kind of lengthy. But it's all good, and I've had the pleasure of aggregating all the data from the school committee, use an interface called Teachpoint to get everybody's feedback, and then I tried to pull it together. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the process really briefly, and then talk about the results. So first of all, we should know that it's a year-long process, and this started back in September of 2013, and Dr. Murchek had to set goals for himself. So a self-assessment, and the goals revolved in 3 areas: a student learning goal, a professional practice goal, and 3 district improvement goals. Those goals were, for the student learning goal was ELA and math improvement at the elementary level. Professional practice was giving effective feedback for educator evaluations, and the 3 district improvement goals revolved around educator evaluation, alignment with the Common Core, and inclusion practices in the schools. So I took all of the data that everyone had provided, and there are 5 different grades or levels. Did not meet expectations, some progress towards expectations, significant progress, met expectations, and exceeded expectations. That is for the 3 initial goals: the student learning goal, professional practice, and the district improvement goal. So I'm going to go through them one by one, if that's okay. For the student learning goals, with respect to ELA and math and CAS at the elementary level, it was deemed that Dr. Murchek had made significant progress towards all of these goals. And I'm going to read you a few comments that came in through the responses to the evaluation. Unanimously, the committee felt that Dr. Murchek had made great progress towards achieving the MCAS goals he set for his students at the elementary level. In collaboration with the curriculum director and administration team at the elementary schools, Dr. Murchek has used in-depth data analysis to craft plans to improve instruction and curriculum, and to assist individual students and classes in reaching their potential. Specific actions targeting achievement of this goal were the hiring of a curriculum director, Maureen Cohen, instituting full-day K, hiring additional FTEs to support inclusion, data analysis and presentation to teachers and administration, implementing these data-driven decisions, targeting professional development, educator evaluations, adopting new writing and literacy programs, just to name a few. All of these things geared towards these three goals. He also has shown strong leadership, which has clearly united our team of educators to achieve the student learning goals. So that's all very positive. His professional practice goal was to give effective feedback, and that was deemed as met. Again, some more comments. One can clearly see through the improved professional environment in our schools that progress has been made across our district. Dr. Murchik is clearly committed to a culture of educator effectiveness. He has done excellent work in implementing the educator evaluation system and presenting it as a tool for self-growth rather than criticism. This is evidenced in the number of school and classroom visits he has conducted this past year. It is further evidenced in the meetings and walkthroughs and observations that our principals have all engaged in. Professional development has addressed the implementation of this program as well. The use of the Teach Point map was introduced as a tool for providing educated feedback. Professional staff are made active participants in their evaluation process, giving them ownership of their professional practice goals and commitment to the process of self-improvement. The ongoing successful implementation of the educator evaluation program in our district will positively affect students' educational experiences and outcomes. And I have to apologize if I'm just reading from the paper, because this is all new to me, so I'm just reading to the paper. School improvement goals were rated as met. Dr. Murchik has set 3 lofty district improvement goals. They included curriculum alignment to the Common Core, expanding inclusion practices in our elementary schools, and the implementation of the educator evaluation system. Any of these 3 initiatives would have been a large undertaking in one academic year, yet he was able to tackle all 3 and made reputable strides and accomplishments in all 3 of these areas. The educator evaluation tool has been previously addressed, but to summarize, has been very successful from many viewpoints. It will continue to become an even more powerful tool as the district supports its presence in daily school life and our administration team becomes even more adept in providing feedback. The alignment to the Common Core has been worked on throughout the school year as well by teachers and administrators and is well on its way to completion. The adoption of Atlas Rubicon has played a positive role, as has the presence and guidance of Maureen Cohen, our new dynamic curriculum director. Maureen's curriculum power team and her targeted professional development opportunities for teachers have further supported this role. Furthermore, we have adopted 2 Common Core line programs in our district, Reading Wonders and Empowering Writers, and they have also helped to facilitate this goal. Inclusion was the final goal that has been furthered during this past school year. Dr. Murchik made the hiring of 2 new elementary FTEs in this area a top priority. Grant money was designated to provide an inclusion consultant to assist with our progress towards this goal, and Dennis Todd has led our team as well by addressing this goal through bi-monthly meetings to research and discuss with teachers best practices in inclusion. Professional development opportunities have been provided to staff to assist with the process as well. It is clear that our superintendent is dedicated to expanding this goal beyond the elementary level. So that talks about the three goals that he has set for himself, but then there are also areas where he's evaluated on instructional leadership, management and operations, family and community engagement, professional culture, and then an overall performance grade. So I'll go through those quickly too. And also I wanted to point out that when a grade of proficient is given, proficient is excellent, proficient is great. exemplary goes above and beyond and is just like a complete role model. So a rating of proficient is an excellent grade for a superintendent. In instructional leadership, Dr. Rushchik has the ability to effectively lead all professional groups within our district and move them towards meeting district initiatives, strategic goals, and state mandates. He does this through smart investments of his time in a variety of areas, through technology integration, data analysis, reflection and sharing, goal setting, relationship building in and out of the schools, effective communications and presentations, training opportunities, feedback, productive meetings, just to name a few. He's an exemplary role model and leader in education. He's open to new ideas, and he leads by positive example. And he undertakes his own critical self-evaluation and sets challenging goals for his own self-improvement. In the eyes of one school committee member, they said he has clearly made an impact on his teaching staff. They are feeling the effects of his leadership. Over the past year, when speaking to the teachers, I have had the opportunity to engage them in conversations about his leadership. They all speak to the active engagement that he promotes in the schools. He is actively involved through the work he does to continue to set and drive improvements to instruction and curriculum and to support overall improvement to student performance. So I think that summary talks a lot about your presence here and how people are feeling about it, that it is a very positive force. For management and operations, another proficient rating. Dr. Rushchik oversaw a smooth budget process this year and continues to promote transparency and cooperation between the town and the district, the towns and the district. He is aware of the state's fiscal challenges and opportunities. He is committed to sharing PowerPoint presentations to the two districts' town leadership and the citizens to assist the general population in understanding the state of education in Massachusetts today and how funding models are arrived upon. In addition, he was instrumental in assisting with a comprehensive review of the district policy manual this past year, providing valuable guidance regarding district practices and needs. He played an integral part updating school plans and procedures to meet with the requirements of the emergency response and school improvement plans. Joe engages in advocacy efforts as well as by participating at hearings, by letter writing campaigns, and personal meetings with state and local representatives. Through the leadership of Jay Beyer, our district has been able to maximize efficiencies where possible so we can reclaim key academic programs that positively impact overall student performance. He has given the district an incredibly powerful gift of vision through our strategic plan, helping us to define achievable goals that define excellence. And beyond that, he has the vision our district needs to develop steps and benchmarks to achieve these goals. Family and community engagement, he received an exemplary grade. Simply put, Dr. Rushchik is not only a voice in our community, but he is also an active, highly visible presence. His participation extends beyond the normal school committee meetings and school functions. He attends multi-board meetings, engages in state government meetings, maintains professional associations, and is available to each of the two communities for satellite events such as Scout Board of Reviews, Upton Men's Club, Mendon Senior Center, and fundraising efforts in different areas. He utilizes social media and mass emailing to disseminate information to all stakeholders and uses other methods to collect important feedback regarding his own performance, as well as feedback on district initiatives such as the iPad program. In the words of another school committee member, I have heard many times from parents that they appreciate the presence and the information that often accompanies it. Under professional culture, a proficient rating, Dr. Rushchik has brought great cohesiveness to our district because of his leadership style. He is visible, professional, committed, ethical, collaborative, and communicative. He serves as both a role model and a leader. He has the ability to unite his staff around shared district goals and keeps his educational community focused on a strategic plan and shared vision of MURSD excellence. He values the work of his professionals, gives them opportunities to grow, and also holds them accountable for their own professional goals and growth. He has improved morale in our district and promoted a positive outlook for education in our district. A comment from a school committee member states, His passion for education is shown in every aspect of his performance, and our district will continue to thrive under his thoughtful stewardship. For his overall performance, his grade came out as proficient based on everybody's evaluations. However, I feel like there's very little wiggle room in between exemplary and proficient and needs improvement, and if there could be a grade that is proficient plus or exemplary minus, that's what Dr. Mershak has gotten. But it's very clear cut, so unfortunately, there's not that distinction. But after aggregating all of the data and comments from 6 school committee members, Dr. Mershak's more true overall performance rating would aptly fall somewhere between proficient and exemplary. When taking into account his ratings in the individual areas listed above, and also taking into account the progress towards attainment of student learning goals, professional practice goals, and school improvement goals, he clearly exceeds a standard proficiency rating. This survey structure is limited in that it provides very little wiggle room. Besides feedback in each of the individual areas, because feedback in each of the individual areas has already been so lengthy, I will keep these comments to a minimum. Dr. Mershak has shown tremendous leadership in our district in all areas listed. He has been key to the positive gains in student learning, promotion of a professional culture in our district, fiscal responsibility, community engagement. There is no doubting his dedication to our district and accountability he feels to his students, families, staff, and those communities. In the words of a school community member, Joe does a great job in all areas, and we are fortunate to have him on our team. He is a true leader. Cheers to a job well done. So again, sorry for the lengthiness of it, but I feel like this deserves all that attention because this clearly displays the hard work that Joe has done and the attention that he has given to his self-evaluation, and the whole evaluation process is a role model for all of us. Once the goals have been set in September, we have a mid-cycle review where he revisits his goals, sees how he's doing towards achieving those goals and assessing, and then again puts together a very in-depth portfolio of benchmarks and evidence of his progress towards those goals, making it very easy for us to help with the assessment process. But you can clearly see the dedication that you have towards this process, and I know I for one applaud it, and I know our school committee applauds it, and we thank you for all the hard work you're doing in our district. So thank you.
Thank you for that feedback.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane, for taking the time to compile such an informative report. Having been the last person to do this last year, I know that it is quite a onerous task.
Well, and I hope I did a job.
You absolutely did. You absolutely did. So thank you very much, and for the over.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for getting the feedback to me. I appreciate that.
All right. Any further questions on the superintendent's evaluation? Is there any old business before the committee that needs to be addressed? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to new business. And the first item there is the approval of the district's strategic action plans for 2014-2015.
Okay. So everybody should have gotten in the packet a draft copy of the action plans for 14-15. Because I know the folks in the audience, there's some extra copies on the table. So we do this every year, right at the beginning of the year. And keep in mind, our action plans are deliberately aligned with our strategic plan. We're now kind of, after its approval in April of 13, we're now in our second full year of implementation of this 5-year plan. And keep in mind, again, the 4 big rocks or the 4 strategic objectives that we've committed to as a district are instructional excellence, which kind of speaks to what are we doing to improve our curriculum and our instructional practices. Second, expanding options and programming. What are we doing to not only get back programming that we lost, but also to expand and have things so that all kids are college and career ready. Third, performance management. What are we doing to improve our feedback to kids, but also to the adults in the organization? And 4, as always, what are we doing to improve communication, collaboration, and outreach with our families and with the larger community, okay? So last year, we committed to a total of 11 strategic initiatives under those 4 big rocks. It's probably a little too ambitious, okay? So when the leadership team met this summer during our retreat and kind of brainstormed about what do we want to do for action plans this year, we were very deliberate in saying, let's try to pare it down. We obviously know what the work is, and a lot of it, quite frankly, shouldn't be any surprise because it's a continuation of some pretty heady work. But we decided to pare it down, and these are the 7 areas. First, aligning our curriculum to the Common Core state standards using a common clear template. Again, supporting the inclusion model of special ed delivery at all levels. Third, what are we doing to expand the skillful use of technology and one-to-one learning to improve teaching and learning? Fourth, designing and using common assessments at all levels. This is one that's new, but there's a real need for that. Fifth, again, what are we doing to develop our STEM concentration K through 12 across all 4 schools? Sixth, again, more work in the state's educator evaluation system. And then seventh, improving communication with all stakeholders, really kind of targeting our online presence. What are we doing with our website, but with all the many different things that are out there, particularly in social media, what are we doing to coordinate them? Okay, so those 7 things. A word about the actual action plans. Once again, we've written them in the format of citing what the initiative is, what is the specific goal for 14-15, and then writing key actions and benchmarks. Okay, we again, for the 2nd year running, we very deliberately have written them in the same format that individual educators are supposed to be writing their goals in. So that way it's easier to overlap. So without kind of drilling down into this step by step with every single action, every single benchmark, just to go through the 7 of them and to cite what are some of the key things that we're thinking that are doable goals and doable actions for each of these 7 strategic initiatives. First, the piece around the Common Core alignment. There's really 2 big chunks here. One is the Readings Wonder program that was approved in July, successfully getting that up and running at the elementary level. Concomitantly with the one-to-one spreading to the entire secondary level, successfully implementing the e-textbooks. Those are 2 very pragmatic chunks of work. The work continues, and we've talked about what we've been doing with the Rubicon Atlas tool with regard to our curriculum mapping. That's a multi-year process, but continuing that first stage of it, where we're putting in the actual units of study, we'll continue this work. And then really formalizing by content area a curriculum review and revision process. So maybe mapping out, okay, in the 2017-18 school year, we're really going to focus on social studies and kind of mapping it out over a 5 to 7 year span. Under the strategic initiative of the second one being the inclusion model, really kind of a continuation of some of the key work that was started last year. I know Dennis has done a terrific job in starting a district inclusion committee that really helped with some PD, getting some folks out to school visits, particularly at the elementary level where they're doing inclusion well. The same, Dennis and Maureen also spearheaded a committee to redo something known as our DCAP, or our District Curriculum Accommodation Plan, which is a plan that kind of speaks to some kind of common sense approaches of how teachers can make accommodations to reach all learners that are struggling before they get into the special ed pipeline, so to speak. And then obviously amending IEPs to reflect inclusive services rather than co-op. Then the technology piece, really the key actions are kind of twofold. One, expanding the one-to-one initiative, obviously year one at the high school, but also year two at the middle school, ensuring consistent use of the iPad and kind of teachers exploring and taking risks. And then really the piece at the elementary level is now all of our elementary classrooms are equipped with smart boards. So how are teachers at the elementary level using those interactive whiteboards on a meaningful level? Okay. Obviously, I think support and ongoing PD for our teachers is critical, job-embedded PD, but also support for our parents. With the one-to-one initiative spreading, the feedback that we've gotten and that we really will implement are different nights and maybe ongoing resources for our parents to be able to monitor iPad usage, to be able to work with our kids so that we have a common message about appropriate usage, about digital citizenship, about what's okay to post, what's not okay to post, and so on. So I think there's a lot of strands there that'll be useful to our parents. The fourth one, the design and use of common assessments. Now, this is a real critical need. I think taking care of the pragmatic one, as part of the educator evaluation system, it's expected that every educator has two of what they refer to as DDMs, or district determined measures. These are things that would be common assessments that would be used to show student growth over time, but also teacher effectiveness, okay? That's real heavy work, to say the least, and I think we could have a very healthy debate about, is this appropriate, and so on. But I think before that, you have that conversation, my question as superintendent is, well, how many common assessments are we actually administering in the district, and what are the quality of those common assessments? Okay, so I think planning backwards, you have to say, well, how is our teachers' assessment literacy? How well do they know the psychometrics of creating fair, valid, and reliable assessments, and particularly common assessments? So that will be a key PD piece for our district moving forward. This, again, carrying over our STEM concentration is the piece around expanding our networking and our partnerships with colleges like WPI, but also I know Mary Ann Moran and John Clemens have done a wonderful job in connecting with a lot of our parents and community members to feed into career shadowing for the students that are part of the Nipmuc STEM Scholars Program. So kind of continuing with that, but also expanding some of the offerings that we have at the elementary and middle school, particularly through our enrichment program, so kids are exposed to more in the STEM field. And then 6, educator evaluation, as we talked about a lot, and I know it was mentioned in my own evaluation. There's other layers that we still haven't been exposed to. Under this really behemoth system, there is an expectation of getting the ball rolling on DDMs, or district determined measures, but also implementing surveys, putting out to older kids surveys to kids about teacher effectiveness, surveys to teachers about principal and superintendent effectiveness, and surveys out to parents. Okay, so there's a lot of details. I think we're very lucky in this district that we've got in my opinion, a very forward-thinking teachers association. We also have been very collaborative as far as having, over the last couple of years, a district-wide evaluation committee, which is a shared partnership of the Teachers Association and the administration to kind of tackle a lot of these issues. So a lot of work in this area, to say the least. And then last but not least, around improving communication, we've decided that this will be a year that we will really tackle the district's online presence and coordinate it in a greater fashion. Part of that is contracting with an individual who will serve as a communications coordinator and really kind of focusing on the online presence. We are in the process of upgrading our district website. We're migrating everything from a product known as School Fusion to another product that's owned by the same company called Edline. So it's essentially, there's no charge. And you should see that go live by, we're anticipating by November. We've established official Facebook and Twitter and soon Instagram accounts for the district. And our game plan is through surveys, but also through some focus groups at the school level, through our school councils, to get some ongoing feedback about the effectiveness of our communication. So that, in a really quick nutshell, is the heart of the 7 strategic initiatives that we're going to focus our action plans on for this year. So any questions on that?
I think it was wise to pare down, and even with 7, I mean, there's still a formidable amount of work, and, you know, a lot of dishes up in the air. I hope they don't drop.
A lot of dishes up in the air, and unfortunately, without saying woe is on me and woe is on us, a lot of that is mandated pieces. It's, you know, to teach for yourself, the Common Core State Standards, the educator evaluation system, and so on. And some of the other pieces that we've chosen to take on, and I would say things like, obviously, the technology pieces, and then improving communication. Those are things that we should be doing anyway in 2014. So I think it's rigorous, I think it's lofty, but I think the targets are where we should be as a district.
I have a question on the technology, because you said we're going to live streaming on YouTube. Will there be a link from the, like, how would people find it?
So, great question. So if you were to go to our district website, mursd.org. Look at that good-looking guy there on the front page. And you'll see at the bottom, link to the school committee meeting live streaming. If you click on that, yeah, it's what we've done is we've made it a live link to the district YouTube page, and if you click on it, you'll see Regional School Committee meeting of September 8th, 2014, and it brings you right there.
May I have a motion to approve the district strategic action plan for 2014?
Make a motion to approve the district strategic action plan for 2014.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Our next item is the approval of new collective bargaining agreements with the Mendon-Upton Regional Teachers Association, the Mendon-Upton Regional Cafeteria Workers Association, the Mendon-Upton Administrative Assistants Association, and SEIU Local 888. First, I will go over the highlights of the terms of the contracts, and then we will okay, so with the Mendon-Upton Regional Teachers Association contract, cost of living adjustments for fiscal year 2015 is 2%. Fiscal year 2016 is 1.75%, and fiscal year 2017 is 1.5%, with 2.5 leveler between steps. Some of the language changes in that contract include roles for union leadership to co-chair district-wide professional development and technology integration committees, eligibility for compensation time for teacher participation in activities for students and student engagement in the community taking place beyond the regular school day, and finally, provisions for the Resell Initiative, where the people receiving the 3 graduate credits would be applied towards main change of the fund successful completion of the 45-hour course. Next, in the Cafeteria Workers Association contract, this includes cost of living adjustments of 1.5% for fiscal year 2015, a cost of living adjustment of 1.5% fiscal year 2016, and also a 1.5% COLA in fiscal year 2017. Language changes in this contract included the increase in annual uniform allowance from $150 to $200 per year. The Administrative Assistants Association contract included the cost of living adjustments of 2% in fiscal year 2015, 2% in fiscal year 2016, and 1.5% in fiscal year 2017. And lastly, the Paraprofessionals SEIU Local 888 contract includes the cost of living adjustment for fiscal year 2015 of 1.75%, for fiscal year 2016, 1.5%, and in fiscal year 2017, 1.5%. Language changes in this contract included establishment of 2 new steps, Step 15 and Step 20 for the most senior employees, and language to support the adoption of a new evaluation instrument and process that will commence this school year. In each negotiation surrounding these contracts, extensive benchmarking was conducted to ensure fairness and market value wages. And on behalf of the committee and on behalf of myself, I'd like to thank Chris Russo, Diane Duncan, Phil Sutter, who's not here with us, and also the superintendent for the hard work and the copious amount of time you put into making these negotiations run smoothly. All right, are there questions or anything we need to? Oh, okay, Mrs. Gentili and Mrs. Brigham, would you like to, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Just, that it was a pleasure negotiating with the committee. We used interest-based bargaining, which allowed both sides to see the other's point of view, and that was really helpful. Our negotiations, for the most part, went smoothly. Of course, finding an agreement on certain issues, maybe financial packages, didn't go as smoothly as maybe either side wanted it to. We were able to reach a compromise, and our association is happy to be moving forward with the important work of educating the children of Mendon-Upton.
Thanks very much.
Just like that,
Sure.
My daughter was big help as well from the member board, so I think who's on our committee.
Okay.
He said it again, and that was great.
I missed not mentioning Mr. Garner. We appreciate his efforts as well. All right. Anything else? Any other points that we need to go through? Okay. So next, I will entertain a motion to approve the new collective bargaining agreements with the Mendon-Upton Regional Teachers Association, the Mendon-Upton Regional Cafeteria Workers Association, the Mendon-Upton Administrative Assistants Association, and SEIU Local 888.
Motion to approve the collective bargaining agreements with the Mendon-Upton Regional Teachers Association, the Mendon-Upton Regional Cafeteria Workers Association, the Mendon-Upton Administrative Assistants Association, and SEIU Local 888.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, this contract passes. Okay, next item on the agenda includes correspondence. Are there any pieces of correspondence that we need to recognized at this time. I did note that we had a letter from the Upton Swim Club, Men's Club, indicating appreciation for the school district help with,
Fireworks.
facilities.
You should have included in your packet a correspondence that I wrote on behalf of the committee to all four of our local legislative delegations, plus also Senator Stephen Brewer, who is retiring, thanking them for their efforts in increasing regional transportation from approximately 70% to 90%. It's a huge benefit to our district. So just as a thank you and kind of drilling down what it actually means in actual programming for kids.
All right, so keep the correspondence being progressed. Moving on, any matters not anticipated by the committee within 48 hours of the close of the meeting. Talk about. Okay. Future agenda items included on September 22nd, the district 2014 AP SAT results, and on October 20th, the district 2014 MCAS results and accountability report. Are there other matters that need to be addressed?
Well, do we put the second reads on that for us, September 22nd?
Okay, so we'll have second read for policies that we dealt with during the first read on September 22nd as well.